Welcome to the podcast, Sylvia.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I feel so grateful to be here.
Well, I've really wanted to have you on for a long time to chat about the lymphatic system because your work has been so life changing for me. Because when I was at a point in my life where I was suffering with chronic fatigue syndrome and I just didn't have any energy anymore, I found that all these cleanses and all this detox that I was doing wasn't supporting my energy level. And my colon hydrotherapist, who was also a nurse, suggested you in your practice and said, you need to book a session and get a lymphatic massage and you need to start going regularly. And I believe that if you can flush your lymph, all your energy will come back. And it did.
Absolutely. It's the same thing as, let me give you an example. So, we're going to put a car through a car wash. So, that's what regular detox does. But we don't take it to get an oil change or have its regular maintenance. So, yes, it makes you feel better when you go and get other cleanses done. But does it take care of the underlying problem of why it became stagnant in the first place? Why is it building up waste in the first place? So, the most important thing we can do for ourselves is cleaning our body. We worry about cleaning houses and we worry about cleaning our cars and making sure we look pretty on the outside and wash our hair. The most important thing in your life should be cleaning the inside of you.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're definitely not given any kind of book on how to manage our physical body. So that's why I love doing the podcast is to help remind people or show them maybe for even the first time the little tools that they need to integrate into their life in order to manage this physical machine that we're in. So, what is the lymphatic system for people that aren't necessarily sure?
It's funny. The first thing that comes to my mind is it's our housekeepers. The lymphatic system is like a housekeeper. It's like a cleaning solution. It's the way that we get rid of our metabolic waste. And metabolic waste can do damage to our body. So the lymphatic system is your cleaning system. It cleanses your bodily fluids. It cleanses your blood. It's part of your organs.
So, it's part of your waste management system. We're just not as
Absolutely.
familiar with it.
Yes, it's part of your waste management system. It's what cleanses your bodily fluids, what keeps your body away from collecting debris to the point of causing density, calcification, and disease.
So, why do we have to manually pump the system?
Well, I'm glad that you asked that because a lot of people many clients that have come to me over the years, some of them, hey, so I'm just here for maintenance reasons, but I'm really healthy. I eat clean. I exercise a lot. So I'm a really healthy person. Then we start working on them, and all of a sudden that person may drain really dark. I'll explain that later on. So, what makes us needing it is our family genetics, environment, stress is what make us have a stagnation of a lymph system. So, so everyone can benefit from the lymphatic system. Everyone can benefit from cleansing it. And things that you can see that may give you a sign of who needs it that is visible to me, which drives my husband crazy because he'll be talking to me and I'm not paying attention because I'm staring at this person going, oh my goodness, that person's suffering from this or they're headed this direction. Even discoloration spots in your skin, is your chin different color than your cheeks? Do you have rashes? Are there bumps on the side of your arms and on the back of your tricep? Are you exhausted for it being that way? Like you're got a good night's rest, you're eating well, you're exercising well, but you have this chronic fatigue. Are you losing hair? Are your nails brittle? So there's benefits to the lymphatic system, but there's some that also need it more than others, and there's some that need it more frequently than others.
So, How did you learn that massage was such an effective way to drain the system? Because we hear about dry brushing for our lymph, and I think we hear about jumping on a trampoline, but I don't think as many people are familiar with the massage for draining lymph, or they've heard about it, but they think it's just trendy.
Right. And oh boy, okay, I totally get it. If I was not in the lymphatics field, I would think it's trendy too. It's everyone and their mothers have become an expert. It's so out there right now. And when I was talking about it back in the day, I had to explain it to people. Nobody even heard of the lymph system unless they came in through my doors because they got diagnosed with cancer. And now they know what lymph nodes are, which is sad. But yes, it's very trend. It is trendy right now. I'm going to admit it scares me because I see a lot of posts. I see a lot of examples how to drain your own lymph system, go in the wrong direction. So, that part is scary for me. And I worry about people being directed in the wrong way. So, back to your question, like, how do you know if you need it? How do you explain to people how to go about get it? Why massage? How to Well, it kind of goes back to where I learned how important it is a little bit, which is through the physical therapy field. Working in the physical therapy field, we started seeing it was easier if we drained the shoulder of the professional pitcher so he can make faster pitches and have full range of motion if we drained his shoulder. And then we started working with breast cancer. We were asked to work with breast cancer, that people that had frozen shoulder from breast cancer. And after a lot of journaling, I realized there's so many women that get breast cancer. And by the way, men too, that start off with shoulder problems. And they'll say, oh, it's because one time I brought down the hood of my car too fast, or I reached the wrong way, or I caught my son's ball. But if you tear your tendons easy in your shoulders, it's because your shoulders are dry. They're dense. They don't have enough vascular flow. For example, there's 4 watersheds that meet up at the shoulders. So if that is dry, becomes like a dry sponge and easy to tear. So,
Wow.
wow, isn't it? So then we started draining women with breast cancer. And it was interesting seeing the difference in the drainage,
Yeah.
the severity of the cancer draining differently. And also, one thing I do want to mention is if you have concern about, for example, breast cancer, just because you don't carry the BRCA1 or the BRCA2 gene and there's nobody else in your family with breast cancer, you can be still sharing the same genetics of the lymphatic system of other family members. And that's something I've learned over the years, over the 40 years of doing this, is I will have a group of family members that have a lot of cancer in their family, but there's no real link to any certain gene. Well, that's because they share the same lymphatic system. Like when you walk a certain way because of an ancestor, you raise an
Mhm.
eyebrow when you talk because of an ancestor, your lip goes to the
Mhm.
side because of an ancestor. Our lymph system works to a point because of our ancestors.
Yes, and we don't just match one ancestor, we match them all in very subtle ways.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And some have great things for us and some not so much.
Yeah, we get to be the one that clears it, right? Or to stop the
Absolutely.
pattern.
Oh, stop the
Yeah.
pattern. That's the key. That's why we love getting children. Babies, we love getting babies to work on, especially if they're born with the little red spot on the back of the neck, right where the spine is, right in
Yeah.
here. You see a little red spot, and doctors say, "Oh, it's just a pigment thing." Well, that to me is a closed watershed. So that needs to be opened up to diminish their chances of autoimmune and a poor lymph system in the future. The interesting part is we'll get a family with a child that, no way, no one's touching me. I'm not going to massage. And then we'll do the sibling. And that sibling will have a healthier lifestyle, will feel healthier, will have more motivation to do well. And that's because the lymph system not only makes us look healthier, keeps our fat cells from building up. It
Mhm.
also can make us happier. It helps the
Mhm.
adrenals, helps the thyroid, the pituitary gland, the tonsils. All that's part of the lymphatic system, the pancreas, the spleen. So if we have a good, strong functioning lymph system, that's something we've learned also in the physical therapy field of doing this, is we saw behavior changing. We saw people getting happier. We saw them not be as tired and look better. So with that, we started, well, gosh, not just work on the shoulders. Let's not just work on the injuries. Let's just start working on their organs. Let's see what we can do there. All of a sudden, people with Crohn's were getting better. People with chronic disease were going into remission. And yet it was called chronic disease. I myself have lupus. My daughter has lupus. And back in the day when I was diagnosed in my 20s, they said there's no genetic factor. We don't know where it comes from. Could be this, could be that. Well, now, 40 years later, my daughter has lupus, at a young age. She got diagnosed at 22 also, and it can be genetic. So the lymph system has that possibility of causing some strong genetics. And being ahead of the game and knowing it's there and not ignoring it and being proactive is just like being proactive and getting an oil change in your car, making sure the engine stays clean and keeps running. It's so simple, isn't it? But we have a
It
hard time,
actually is.
and we have such a hard time spending money on ourselves. We feel guilt, like, no, we should be making sure that we have a better house. No, we should make sure our 16-year-old son has the new car. But we don't think about how important it is to keep our body nice and clean so our future children have a cleaner body, breaking that chain, breaking that genetics. So no one has the perfect answers on how to, one, improve the lymphatic system, but over the years, 40 years of journaling and working on thousands of bodies, they have taught me what mistakes we can make to have the lymph system go the wrong direction. But what we do to make sure it goes that right direction? I've seen it. For example, the pandemic. People were scared to come in and get massages. So they didn't come in. And seeing their cancers return, seeing people get worse, seeing being diagnosed with something we were trying to prevent in the first place was really, not to say the pandemic was good for me in any way. It was not good for any of us, but it was good for me to see the seriousness of, I needed to have that reminder of how seriously I need to take the lymphatic system, and that it's okay for me to be a little more honest with some people, because I've always was in fear of scaring them. But now I've taught the therapist, we got to find that fine line between, you don't want to fear someone into getting lymphatic done, but you also don't want them walk out the door thinking everything's okay. And then a year later, they come back diagnosed with something. And then we're hitting ourselves over the head going, why didn't we say anything? And I have been in those shoes. Even with close friends of mine, I've been in those shoes. And they have taught me not to do that again.
Yeah, I know when I go and I see a therapist, I always say, "Please tell me what you see as you're working on me." Like, any information is better than no information. I'd rather know, because then maybe I can think about what I'm doing that's causing that inflammation when you touch a certain part of my body, or it gives me clues on little ways that I need to edit my life if they're catching something that I'm not. Other
Yes.
people's perspectives on your body and your health is what we all need.
Oh, yeah, and I love that about you. That's wonderful. I wish everyone would do that, but some people can't. Some people do prefer to take the time to just lay there and, fall asleep or not worry. Some people get a little hypochondriac about that, but trust me, there's no more that I understand than being a hypochondriac. Okay. Sometimes we read these people's intake forms and we're answering yes to all the questions that are scary. The therapist and I become very hypochondriac with working on so many people with disease. But I think that it's important to turn that around and call it proactive instead of scared.
Mhm.
It's important to be proactive. And then that should take away your fear. So if you see a towel that is really you drain dark and it's scary looking, instead of going, oh my gosh, I'm in trouble, I'm going to get cancer or something, instead, isn't this great? This is out of me. It's out of me. Just like we get excited about our car looking so beautiful after being detailed. That's how excited we should get about seeing a towel that's drained, you know? And not everybody needs that much drainage. And it's interesting trying to determine, that's my biggest challenge, is like, why do these people not need a drain? I start picking their brains more than the ones that are ill. What do
Mhm.
you do? What's your stress? And it's interesting. The only thing that I've realized, that the ones that don't drain as dark and don't have strong family genetics of autoimmune, and aren't like exercise gurus and eat perfectly healthy, have one common thing that I thought was very interesting. I was thinking about it today, feeling grateful that you're having me on the show, that if I could just reach one person, that's just a wonderful thing. But they have gratitude. They live in life
Mm.
in gratitude and in appreciation every day of their lives. Quite remarkable, isn't it? And they're the ones that are holding less stagnation. Not that, if we drain dark, we're not grateful, we don't have appreciation. I'm just saying this is one common thing with them.
Yeah, they must let a lot more go. They don't carry as much with them
They don't carry as much
emotionally.
with them emotionally. Emotionally. It's interesting because I am a believer that what you go through life, it could be when you were a child and you might have suffered being sexually abused, and you go through life and you've gone over it. Not that anybody goes over it, but they're thinking they've gone over it. They go into adulthood, and all of a sudden they hit their 40s and they're suffering and they can't figure it out why. And, there's some areas that those people tend to drain more than others because they're holding it in. They
Mhm.
haven't healed from it. And that's what's beautiful about lymphatic drainage. You can look at that town, just let it out. Like, that's gone. That experience has left your body. That stress has left your body. That anger and sadness. It really is. Lymphatic is such a beautiful thing to get done, to the point of not only just healing your body, but healing your mind, helping your emotions not get the best of you.
The emotional release in the most
Very
comforting
much in the most comforting way. And it gets people to talk and open up like no other.
Well, what I like about your style is that you guys use warm coconut oil and sesame oil. How did you choose that path, which is more Ayurvedic and holistic, right? Than using like a generic lotion?
I was asked the other day how many oils by a therapist that we've fairly trained recently. How many oils did you have to go through? And I couldn't answer it. So, of course, I went home and thought about it. I would say I went about past 20 that I had to really find which was the best one to go. I love Ayurvedic medicine. I've always been involved with it. I'm a believer in it. I love Chinese medicine. And sesame oil's been used since the BCs. They have found sesame seeds in mummy's nails in order to preserve the nail, keep it from getting fungus. So sesame oil is probably the most researched oil out there. It is called the queen of all oils. It's the only one known to go all the way to the bone marrow. Imagine that. So it was a
Yeah.
no brainer that I wanted to use it because I wanted to get all the way to the bone marrow. Was obsessed with helping those with bone cancer. That I would say that was one of my biggest passions, of helping others fight bone cancer, children especially. that were getting diagnosed at a younger and younger age. So what could we do? How do we get to this, to the bone marrow of all this? And only sesame oil is the only one that is known to reach the bone marrow. So that was a no-brainer. But we don't want everybody walking out smelling like peanuts and cashews too, or like they just came out of a Asian restaurant, So we wanted them to be able to go to work and not feel like everyone can smell them. So that was a big challenge, finding one that was odorless too, but that can drain well and that was organic. So that wasn't, raised with pesticides. So that was really not an easy challenge, but we were able to accomplish it. So this may surprise you, but coconut has very little benefit to the lymphatic system. As a matter of
That's
fact,
interesting.
yeah, it could actually clog your pores. So you're probably going, well, Sylvia, why in the world would you use a coconut oil that could clog pores? Why would you even use coconut oil? Well, because coconut oil is moisturizing, even though it clogs
Mhm,
pores, it's collimogenic, but it's a cooling oil. So if we didn't put a
mhm.
little bit of coconut oil into the warming oil of sesame, the person's entire body would feel warm. And then we wouldn't be able to find the core of inflammation. We wouldn't be able to know where our work needs to be done for a long period of time. So by adding a little bit of coconut to some bodies, it keeps it at a comfortable temperature. So if you're warm, let's say you're rhomboids, let's say you're constantly looking down at your phone,
Oh, yes, we know
okay,
this is something going on.
right? And the rhomboids are full because now,
Yeah,
just that alone, it's swelling in the rhomboids can cause brain fog, tinnitus of the ears. It can affect your pituitary gland. It can cause bacteria along here, right? So you're looking down on your phone, rhomboids. But if I put a lot of coconut oil and only oil, I'm not going to know it's hot. If I put only sesame oil, the whole body's going to warm up because the rhomboids are so close to the spine watershed. It's just the whole thing's gonna warm up. If I put in a little bit of coconut, I'll know that it's your rhomboids that are suffering. They're the ones that are really swollen. I need to revisit them a lot throughout the massage. What sets sesame oil aside also is that it allows your lactic acid to come through too. So it's the only known oil that we can actually feel lactic acid escape through your 7 layers of fascia. So it's quite remarkable, isn't it? Not all, you're not going to have massage therapists using it a lot. It's expensive. It's not a cheap oil to use. One thing I can tell you after being through different massage schools and learning massage all these years is most places will use a massage oil that will last a long time. That's more beneficial to the massage therapist being able to do good, smooth work. And that's okay.
mhm.
It's needed for that. But we use the sesame oil because we want to get the most out of that session and therefore the most metabolic debris out. And so we have to keep reapplying it. Something you have to get used to is that your MACSL massage therapist is going to stop and keep putting oil on you.
I know, but that's what I love. Like,
Yeah.
I like to go to my sessions with you guys showered, so that way I can be covered in the oils, and then my body gets to be moisturized in such a deep way.
And don't shower afterwards. That's a shame to
Yeah,
shower afterwards. Sesame's a natural cleaner. So
yeah,
you're actually removing a natural cleaner when you go home and shower. It's okay if you do. Some people want to do that, but keep in mind that the longer you leave it on, the more beneficial it is because it's
mhm,
actually still destroying. When we take that towel and wipe it off, we
yeah.
can't go through down the 7 layers to wipe it off. So it's still sitting in there doing its work, destroying those nasty little pathogens we don't want.
Amazing, and the other thing I find amazing is the lactic acid that comes up on the skin. If you haven't experienced it before, it is amazing. It's like somebody just dropped little bits of sand on your skin, but it actually came out of you.
That's the calcification. You think of it as the sesame oil allows 7 layers of fascia to loosen up. The technique helps that along the way. So we become like that little chisel inside you, breaking up calcification. So what comes through is tiny little crystals. Sometimes they look like splinters, sometimes they look like lint, but most of the time they look like little tiny clear sand pebbles. And that's calcification. Now, if your body can have calcification come through your skin, it's a compliment to your body. It means it responded really well to having the lymphatic system opened up, and it has the capability of keeping it open, which is amazing. We get very excited, the therapist and I'm like, yes, we got calcification from this person's body who's been diagnosed with this and that. She's going to be okay. We just got to like make sure we get that calcification out as much as possible. Arthritis is a form of calcification. Do clearly understand, Whitney, that, first comes stagnation, then
Yes.
the density, the skin gets hard. You've heard of you go get mammogram, or your breasts are dense, we're going to have to do an MRI because they worry about density, and rightfully so, because first comes the stagnation, the density, then comes the disease. So we want to get rid of calcification. And that lactic acid we're talking about is very kind of Vaseline feel to the therapist. As a matter of fact, the funny thing is we'll have a client go to turn over to face up, and we'll see a
Mhm.
blob of looks like jelly, looks like Vaseline with a little bit of yellow sometimes. They're like, what's that? Is that the oil? No, that came out of your body. And they're always in shock. Sometimes, we use ice packs to cool people down. And sometimes
Mhm.
we've had clients go, is your ice pack leaking? Is the gel coming out? Because they just cannot believe. But what we see is they're taking deeper breaths. The crazy thing is, a lot of them, their voice changes because their bronchial tube is actually more open. Their esophagus is more open because we
Wow.
got rid of the lactic acid.
So if someone's listening to this and they unfortunately don't live in Southern California and can't visit one of your 2 locations, if they are going out to look for a lymphatic massage, what should they be looking for? How do they know that they're going to a place that's really gonna manage their lymphatic system properly, that's not gonna be too hard on their body?
Yes, that's the scary thing is that you do need to research because you're paying for a lymphatic massage. You should get a lymphatic massage. It shouldn't be somebody that just took a quick course online and now says they're a lymphatic expert. What you need to do is check and make sure that they're licensed. Make sure they're licensed by the city they're in or the county. Some areas you only have to be licensed by the county, some have to be licensed by the county and the city. Are they certified? Check and see if they're certified. When you walk into their place, or even try to visit the place before you schedule an appointment, because you don't want to prepay and schedule an appointment for a place you've never seen and that don't have good pictures online. They don't have a good website. They don't have. So be careful with that. Go and, look and see. Are there certifications on the wall? Is their business license on the wall? Are they doctor referred? Because I'll tell you right now, it's scary how popular it's gotten. So you want to make
Mhm.
sure that you go to somebody that knows what they're doing. Call the local physical therapist if you're traveling, a good local physical therapist, or call a cancer center and get referrals. That's a good way to find a good lymphatic specialist too.
And if somebody was looking to go in for a session or even just for a regular massage, do you suggest that they maybe take their own sesame oil or coconut oil instead of
Always,
just settling for the
always
lotion that you might have? Yeah.
Always, I always like love it when they say that. I never want to tell them to do that, and I don't
Yeah.
suggest it because you'd be surprised that there's massage places out there that can get mad because they're selling their own product. They make a lot of
Mhm.
money selling their own lotions. So you do want to suggest to them, yeah, take this in. If they could please use that instead.
Is there anything else that you like to use at home on your skin besides sesame oil or coconut oil?
You can use grapeseed oil too, which is nice. Castor oil also
Mm.
is nice. The key is Moisturize. Don't stress too much about what you're putting on. Moisturize like crazy. Make sure your skin stays soft, but do avoid things with certain ingredients, definitely. I'm really terrified of parabens. I drive my family crazy because I like, does your shampoo have parabens? Let me see your conditioner. Let me see your lotion. Because the parabens actually have an ability to have estrogen. Can you believe it? So I have treated many with breast cancer that have used a lot of lotions with parabens and were straight out told by their oncologists it could have caused it. So yeah, being careful to just have plant-based moisturizers on you. Are they organically grown moisturizers? Just make sure that there's clean, just like our food. We want to make sure our food is as clean as possible. Same thing with what you put on your skin. So think about it. We can drain your debris out of your skin, right?
Mhm,
So anything we put on your skin can go in, right?
mhm.
So we need to be careful. Just like we worry about what we eat, we need to worry about what we put on our bodies. Just don't stress to the point of spending a lot of money because there's a lot of very cheap plant based lotions out there. What's important is that you keep a lot of lotion on you all day, throughout the day. Reapply, reapply. Why? It's very difficult for a vascular system to not work well with very moisture skin. And your lymphatic system is part of your vascular system.
Okay.
Keep the vascular flow going.
That's a really good tip because especially in the winter time, you get out of the shower and you're cold and you just want to put, your clothes back on. You don't want to take the time to necessarily moisturize and let it soak in. And then you
And
just,
no,
yeah,
that's the best time to do it right out of the shower.
yeah, absolutely. This is a very good reminder. Thank you. What do you think of other techniques out there for quote unquote draining your lymph, like dry brushing, like
Oh, it's
saunas?
great. I think dry brushing should be part of everyone's life every day, especially if you're on a computer. You should be dry brushing your forearms. You So yes, I'm big on dry brushing. I'm big on, take your warm shower, but finish it in cold as best as you can. Turn down the temperature. That contrast is going to increase the lymph flow. Don't worry again about how or what direction to dry brush. Wait, am I doing it the right way? It's so simple. Do whatever you want, but just finish towards the heart. That's it. Just finish towards the heart. So that's important. Exercise is important. Movie. And when I say exercise, we have some very unhealthy, hardcore exercise gurus. They just don't do enough cardio. The cardio is the most important part. Making sure you have a good amount of cardio every day. It takes longer for a woman's lymph system to kick in than a man's. Not fair. But a man can go and do cardio for 20 minutes and he's good for the lymph system for the rest of the day. But women takes longer. So we need to actually take longer walks and longer runs. But swimming is great. Also, the trampoline work is really nice. So there's definite tools, but the easiest ones are the dry brushing at home, rinsing in cold showers, stretching, meditating, yoga. If you're going to do a sauna, and if you want my honest opinion about that,
Mhm.
is there's been more studies showing that near infrared sauna is best for the lymphatic system. You don't want it to get too hot and affect your kidneys. Okay. You don't want to warm up your kidneys too much. And you want to be careful where you have your near infrared sauna. Did somebody just come out from the sauna and you're going right back, you're going into it? Was it sanitized and clean in between? Is the wood stained? Is, stained wood is not healthy to breathe in when it's raised in temperature. So the
Wow.
more natural woods, and not, it's okay to not have that fancy sauna where you could share it with your husband's toxins. Okay,
Yeah.
you know, it's nice to meditate and relax, go out of it, come back, go to the bathroom, come back, sit down again for a little bit. So, keep that in mind that it doesn't have to be one for it to benefit the lymph system. Okay. The near infrared light is giving you the benefits of the sun without the damage of the sun.
These are really good tips. Thank you. Um, what is there anything else you think people really need to know about taking control of draining their lymph system? Is there one thing that they can consider doing at least once a week so they can get their body naturally draining?
So they can get their body not walking. Let me explain why walking is so important. When we run, we still keep our arms bent. But
Yeah.
walking, we you can't walking and straightening your arms and allowing them to swing naturally behind you, kind of forming that scap squeeze, opens up all these auxiliary lymph nodes. And it's hard to walk really stiff, right? You got to move your hips. That works all the inguinal lymph nodes, the lymph nodes of the lower abdominal region, the adductors. You literally hit every lymphatic channel when you do long distance walking, and really walk with emphasis. Kind of like you just with the get those hips proudly moving, get those arms proudly going. And that's the best. The walkers are my healthiest when it comes to the lymphatic system. It gets hard, even swimming is great, but so many pools are with chlorine water, and that's not great for you. You do have to swim in a chlorine pool. By the way, don't go to the shower and rinse in hot. You're just sinking in that chlorine even deeper into your body. You want to use colder water to rinse.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a big change in pools over the next few years, that more pools are going to move away from using chlorine and hopefully ozonating their water or finding different techniques to keep it clean.
Oh,
I
I
think we're
would
going to
love
see
that.
a big change.
I wish we tried to get our community pool to become a saltwater pool, but we kind of lost that battle. It's just unfortunate the community doesn't realize the importance of salt water to prevent cancer prevention and lung
Mhm.
capacity.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I don't I
There's a
have
lot of things. And by the way, it's interesting. We get a lot of athletes with astroturf coming in
oh
that
my gosh,
drain
I can't
really
even
dark.
yeah,
Very scary, very scary. And the hotter it gets, the worse it is for them to breathe it.
I
So,
still can't believe that they've taken away grass and put that down for kids to play on.
yes.
Well, where do you turn to keep learning about ways to improve your health and well-being and further support your clients? Where does your inspiration come from?
Well, it again, the Googling things can be very scary because everyone's websites, they get sponsors, right? So you don't know what's the truth out there. I use a lot of the medical universities to get my information. Recent research, I stay very involved with recent research and studies. I highly recommend if you really want to learn about whether something that you're taking medication wise can cause your lymph system to become more stagnant, or you want to read more research, go into what your tax dollars actually pays for. And that's PubMed. I do a lot of reading there. They post a lot of research and studies, and that's helped me over the years tremendously. Of course, I turn into doctors that have developed relationships over the years just from working on their patients and asking them their advice and their opinion and things. And do I take it always? Not always. Sometimes we get in arguments about certain things, the wrong chemo recipe being for this person because they're actually draining darker and they're getting more inflammation. So we go back and forth. But that going back and forth, we learn from one another too. It's not always easy for a doctor to listen to a simple massage therapist either. So we try to balance and learn from one another as best as we can.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
because you
yes,
guys see the patients in different ways.
absolutely. I'll read books and I'll pick up things and I'll learn some new information, but I also will do my own research. Well, how did he find out about that? You know, how sure is he that that's a big problem? It really is not a difficult system to learn. It really is. It's important to know the antagonists and synergists of each muscle tissue. It's important to know how many watersheds and pathways lead to that muscle tissue because lymphatics is not just a technique going the direction. You want to open the beginning of the muscle, the end of the muscle, then work the belly of the muscle, and then open the lymph system so everything can flow easier. So it's really easy for me to teach, for example, physical therapists how to become a lymphatic specialist because they already know the beginning and the end of the muscle tissues and what their synergists and antagonists is. So it's not just about knowing the direction of the lymph system. It's knowing how to get the body prepared to get the best out of what you're about to do lymphatically. So that's why there's a lot of cross fiber work with what we do. You know,
And
MACSL, go ahead.
no,
MACSL
please.
stands for Mizokami, Advanced Circulatory, because I believe we have to add the advanced circulatory techniques into the body in order to soften it up. It has the S in it because we do all the 25 modalities of sports massage, a lot of cross fiber work. Okay. And then the L stands for we go to the direction of the lymph system. We open up watersheds and pathways throughout the entire system. It's important for someone to understand that if they're coming in because their legs are swollen and they just dying to lay there and get their legs opened up, well, the left shoulder helps with the lower extremity. So we have to start from up there. It's
Mm.
important for people to know that if you have a rash here, or if you're constantly having bacteria here, or you have TMJ, all these lymph nodes, they're attached to these lymph nodes that are attached to these ones here and then go around your breasts. So, in order for us to get rid of density in the breast, we start here. We go here. Then we go here. Again, it's like a muscle. Open the front door, open the back door, drain it all.
And when you drain it, when we get off the massage bed, when we get off the towels, what should we personally be looking for on the towel? What type of
Uh,
drainage? What are the colors?
you want to see the silhouette of your body. Like I took a pen and just did a silhouette of your body, an outline, a beautiful line silhouette of the body. Okay. So why? Because that means there's no density. But if it looks like I took a Sharpie and did a bunch of marks along the towel, that means there's density between those dots that you're seeing. And that's why that bacteria has been building up. That's why the toxins are right there. That metabolic waste is stuck. And that can get older and older and older and become dense, become calcified, and cause disease. So so that's why when we see the dots, even if someone just drained a little bit and it wasn't that bad, I call it, yeah, but it's a dot. We can't see that dot. You want to see a few lines coming off your breast right here because there's three main lymphatic areas right here. We want to see those that are opened up because then we know all this is going to be okay. All this is going to be okay. So even if you're not dotty, but there's just like this perfect strong line coming here, well, we want to kind of see a few of them sticking out. So and that means that your shoulders are getting good blood flow. It's interesting, like AFib, we get a lot of them with just the line going forward. They tend to have inflammation around their heart.
Mhm.
So it's not just about helping with autoimmunes. It can help the heart and it could help even with eye disease. So, like, for example, on my side of the family and my mom's side of the family, what comes really strong is macular degenerative disease of the eyes. And I don't want to be like my mom and have injections and go legally blind. And that's caused by inflammation in the back of the eye. So, even working these areas is important. We're not just therapists that come in, okay, get on the table, let's see what you're draining. We're looking at you when you're talking to us. We're already starting our work. We're observing, how did Whitney show up today? Does Whitney have a rash? Does one of Whitney's ears sit harder against the side of her head than the other? Is she closed on that? She's swollen here. Is there, when she smiles, is there a lot of little dots right here? Kind of like a lot of pimples. A lot of this tells us, the chin tells us a lot about thyroid disease. So, you know, everyone can use thyroid drainage. That will help tremendously too. So that's another good reason to get the lymph done.
Yeah, it's just like basic it's just taking your car in regularly for an oil change. It's really
Yep,
interesting.
isn't it? Yeah, it's
Yeah,
the best
it's a
investment you can make
perfect
to your body.
explanation. Yeah, absolutely. So, where can people connect with you and book their massage? Share your locations and how people can learn more about you.
Not only can they book with us, but we also have workshops because I don't want to leave this earth without the technique continuing to help others. So we also train therapists, and so they can also use the technique in their place. We just require for them to have a business license and be certified too and have a location. People can reach us at Mizokami Therapy, and we have a Brentwood, LA location, and we have the San Clemente, which was our main location. And keep in mind, we have affiliates. So we have an affiliates page. So we have a physical therapist that specializes in pelvic floor, Dr. Yvonne Huang, who's also a MACSL therapist. We have Jody Connors, who's also a MACSL therapist. We have Vicky, who's our acupuncturist, who's lymphatic MACSL therapist. So we even have estheticians that are affiliates on our webpage too. So that's something that others can become also. They can become affiliates of the MACSL technique because we want to help as many people as possible. But yes, you can go to Mizokami Therapy. We have a Facebook page, Instagram page. We have videos to help you. Um, and and we really do care with all our hearts to make sure that you better your health and have a better lifestyle and are happier. And one thing that's important that I want to say is don't do too many things at once because then you're not going to know what works. Maybe one or two things at the same time. But just like anything, give it a try. Give it a good 6 to 9 sessions. If it
Mhm.
doesn't work for you, then yes, go try something else. Don't add stress to your life by taking up time and finances, doing too much at once. You're only going to know what works if you take one thing at a time or do more than two things.
That's great advice. Thank you. Well, thank you so much for finally connecting on the show. It's such a treat. And I look forward to seeing you very soon.
Oh, yes. Yes, and thank you again. And by the way, we've been enjoying your spices. Oh my goodness.
Oh, thank
My
you.
s-
Yes.
my son and his girlfriend are amazing cooks, and
Yeah.
they used your spices recently. I could not stop eating this chicken. I'm like, am I really getting up and having more? It was so delicious. Thank you.
I'm
So,
so glad. I really wanted you to try the adobo just because it has
oh,
double the amount of turmeric in it, and it's such a great way to sneak it into a meal without necessarily knowing it's there. You just get great flavor, and it goes on everything so beautifully, so
and I
I'm
don't
so
know
glad.
what it was about it, but I felt so relaxed afterwards. And yes, the dough was amazing. We're
I'm
we
so
are
glad.
hooked.
Fabulous. Well, thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Everyone stay well.